Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be discussing yield farming, which is DeFi's latest craze. We're going to cover what is it? Is it good, bad, scammy? I know some of you may already kind of know what it is, but I think the second point is worth talking about because to some it does have maybe a bit of a Ponzi vibe. And then after that, I'm going to discuss 3 yield farming strategies which I'm using, have used, or will continue to use, and why I think you will appreciate using them, and kind of also maybe a bit of insight into why I choose certain yield farming strategies over others. So, with that being said, let's jump right into it. So, the number one, what is yield farming? So, as scary as the term really is, all it literally means is give your users tokens. Right. So, if you use our product, we'll give you tokens. That's all yield farming is. The reason why they call it yield farming, though, is because usually the users deposit money to earn yield inside specific protocols, and in return they get governance tokens. So yeah, that's literally like what yield farming is. Now, is this good, bad, or scammy? And this is where it gets very subjective, but ultimately I think it's good, because the way you want to think about yield farming is almost like a growth strategy, or I guess a marketing budget that a team can use for its token. So let's say there is like a CHAD protocol, right? It's a new protocol on the market. And what it does is it rewards users who deposit USDT to their protocol by giving them dollar CHAD tokens, right? Now, what will happen is users will essentially, let's draw this out over here. So you have Bob, and he will get his US dollars in some form and deposit them inside this new protocol. Now, the amount of assets under management by inside CHAD will go up. Therefore, it means that its token value has now gone up, which therefore encourages Bob or someone else to essentially deposit more. So as you can see, this is a massive positive flywheel, as you can say, right? Because as this process keeps on happening, you just get this kind of like compounding, spiraling effect. And that being said, though, the same thing can actually happen in reverse, where if the token price goes down, Bob will maybe deposit less, which means the token price goes down, which means assets under management goes down, which means that money goes out and back into Bob. So it can be positive and negative. And I think a lot of skepticism in DeFi is that sometimes a positive flywheel seems unsustainable, and to which I agree that it is. But if a percentage of the people who went through this process stay with the protocol, then you're still net positive and you can do something really useful. So just like many things in life, yield farming isn't good or bad. It's a tool that you should use with caution and think about carefully and wisely. So anyway, that's kind of is it good, bad, scammy, whatever you want to call it. Now, let's go into the bit that you're probably waiting for, which is strategies. So, strategy number 1. All right, USD Careful. So, I think, actually, you know what, before we get into strategies, let's just talk about what makes a good strategy. And unless you're like a whale, as in you have $100 million, you actually have to be a lot smarter rather than just dumping your money into the thing with the highest APR possible. The thing which you need to figure out first of all is this actually helpful to the network, right? Like, are you just kind of capitalizing on a trend which doesn't make sense? So for example, like if you provide liquidity for ETH to wrapped Ethereum pool, that isn't actually valuable, because converting ETH to wrapped Ether is literally just making a call on a like smart contract, right? You're not providing any useful liquidity to a network. Like, yeah, it's kind of useful, but not that much. So you have to figure out, like, are you actually helping the network which you're providing liquidity for? Number two is like, do you have the token, or I guess a derivative of that is, do you believe in it, right? Don't just go yield farming for the highest APR unless you actually believe that this might have something useful. I guess both of these two can be a bit hard, because at the end of the day you will end up speculating on the hottest thing. Like, everyone will do it. But give it a bit more thought. And number three is that, I guess, how sustainable is this pump, right? Is this just like, is this 1000% APR for 2 days? And if so, the gas cost should be less than my profits. And this is really, really key, right? Because the very high APR schemes will attract whales, and whales do not care about $10 fees. They will wreck you. So stay away. Do not play in unsustainable games, because gas fees will literally mess you up. Okay, so that being said, let me talk about strategy number one. Right, and this is the SUSD pool. Okay, so the way this essentially works is that you get your SUSD, which is Synthetics's USD derivative or synthetic coin, right? And you deposit this to Curve Finance, and then Curve Finance will give you their Curve token when it gets lived, and you can essentially stake these Curve tokens back to Synthetics. Now, what I really like about this strategy, and why I think more people should adopt it, is number one, the USD, everyone holds US dollars, right? So you don't really like have to buy anything weird or do anything funky. You just need to get like any USD you have and convert it into SUSD, which is a fairly no-brainer operation. Number two, SNX as a project is very strong, and the token appreciation on this is like, I'm gonna make wild bets here, but I would say anywhere between 2x to 5x within the next year, potentially, right? So you've got like really good appreciation. Then number two is like, Curve is a sleeper. They're currently doing close to 100 million in volume. So Curve will be an insanely valuable token, and through this strategy you're actually accumulating both. And number four is that this is pretty sustainable. So the SNX team, their rewards are consistent. They go on a like decent time frame. So even if Curve kind of like tampers down, you've still got Synthetics rewards going on, which is just insanely useful. So that is probably why I'd recommend the strategy for quite a few of you out there, because it just ticks a lot of checkboxes, and this is genuinely useful to the network, right? Because you're providing SUSD liquidity to the Synthetics ecosystem, which in turn makes the SNX token valuable. So this does provide value, right? We've got that. This will be a token that you can easily hold or will hold. And number two, the projects are both very high quality, So it's like, it's honestly a no-brainer in my opinion. Number 2 is the, oh my god, not wrapped ether. This is SETH to ETH balancer pool. So for a lot of you ETH heads out there, you probably have a lot of ETH kind of just lying around. And for that extent, I would recommend the synthetics ETH to ETH pool. Right? Why? Because lending ETH at 1% is not fun at all, right? Maybe when ETH 2.0 one day hopefully comes out, this may not hold true, but for now, you want to do better than 1% per annum on your ETH, and that's being very generous. So the S8 ETH pool. Now, I think this one has slightly higher risk in my opinion. And I guess that being said, same for the previous one, but simply because S8 isn't used as much. So the whole idea of this is that, let's say you've got 50 ETH. What essentially you do is you sell half of it for SETH, which will cause you like literally less than 0.1% in slippage. You can do this like via 1 inch or something, right? Very, very straightforward. And then you've got your 25 ETH. Cool. So you get these two and you throw them inside balancer, inside the SETH ETH pool, right? And for some reason, you actually get, I think, about 30% APR on this pool inside balancer. So with this strategy, I can't remember if synthetics is giving rewards, but I know balancer, this is one of the top pools in balancer, right? So suddenly on your ETH you're earning about 30% APR, and to give you kind of like an idea, you can get like a nice little bit for doing this. Like when you do the numbers on 30% APR, it's pretty good. So what I like about this strategy is number one, simply the fact that if you hold ETH, this makes holding ETH even more profitable. Number two, you get BAL tokens, which I think it's hard to make any like predictions on balancer because they just have so much sell pressure. Like if you look at the graph, it's kind of gone a little something like that. This is very similar to basically comp as well, right? So I'm not too sure about balancer token appreciation, but hey, it's DeFi and there's probably going to be a bull run. So it's probably still not a bad bet. It's better than just holding ETH and lending it out at 1%. Number three, what I like about the strategy is that it's semi-sustainable, as in the fact that balancer rewards are going down continually. But I would expect even if it flattens out to 5 to 10%, that's still 10x better than your 1% on like lending ETH to compound. So from that perspective, like this strategy is still a winner, and it's one that I've also employed as well with decent results. Now, the third one, the CUSDC comp balancer pool. This is a bit of a gigabrain one, but it's interesting. So let's see, CUSDT plus CUSDC plus comp, right? Okay, so the way this pool works, this is a bit of a crazy one, but it's pretty cool. So you have to, it's a balancer pool, okay, and you have to supply 49% CUSDT, 49% CUSDC, and 2% comp. Now, because this one is, I would say, like transaction fee heavy, I would only recommend you getting into this if you have at least 10K at stake. mistake, because the gas fees of going through some of these operations will probably stack up. I guess that's probably for a lot of these, but anyway, so the way this works, you have your USDT, right, and you give it to Compound to get some CUSDT. Then you get some USDC and you put it on Compound to get some CUSDC. And then you get some actual comp tokens, right? And you keep them over here. So the ratios, like, let's say you wanted to do this in proportion. So you'd have something like 99 CUSDT tokens, $99 worth of CUSDC tokens, then $1 of comp. And then what you do is you put all of this into Balancer. All right. Now, what happens here is that you now have a new pool comprised of, USDT, USDC, and comp. And in its exchange, you get BAL. Now, the thing is, though, that the comp rewards, when they come in, they will actually kind of make this configuration out of whack a little, right? Where is this 49%, right? So the rewards from Compound will go to the pool, not to you directly. And this comp, the comp balance would go from, say, like 1 to 1.5% due to the rewards, let's say, right? And because of this excess difference, the way Balancer works, it incentivizes ARBs to essentially level this out. So by employing the strategy, you're actually selling your comp immediately for USDT and USDC, which isn't, I guess, like as ideal if you want to speculate on comp, but it's additional yield at the end of the day, and it's pretty like simple to employ. So the 49.49.1 is like a great, easy to, I guess, like use pool. And because this only relies on Balancer plus Compound, both of these teams are highly competent in their technical ability. And if I was to rate like smart contract risk on this one, it would be fairly low. So that's, I'd say, the upside of this strategy. You're earning BAL tokens, you're doing something useful for the network, and there's not too much to dislike apart from the fact that it's maybe not as lucrative, but once again, the more lucrative something is, the more risky. So you really have to choose your risk to return profile carefully. So yeah, hopefully like you guys really enjoyed this video, because if you did, I am happy giving more yield farming strategies which can be useful for you guys. Like so just to summarize, what is yield farming, aka give users tokens? Is it good, bad, scammy? Well, that's up to you to decide. And then last of all, we covered 3 strategies which I recommend and have used myself to reasonable success. So yeah, that's about it for this video. If you guys like this, I'll please share this and hype this up, because for me, like, I'm increasingly getting more busier, and whenever I see encouragement or the fact that people actually view my stuff, it's a really good sign that I've got product market fit and I should keep making more of these. So thanks once again, and let me know your thoughts on this. Don't forget to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, follow my newsletter, and all that jazz. Peace out, fam. Bye.